Good morning.
Morning.
I'm MaryBe McMillan with the North Carolina AFL-CIO. Our message today is that we need a new WPA to cope with our current economic crisis. Families in North Carolina and throughout the country are struggling like never before, and we must do everything we can to help parents like Alicia who wonder how they can provide for their children. And it's not just families who are struggling. Our communities are trying to cope with harsh budget cuts that have forced them to reduce their number of school teachers, police officers, firefighters, and bus drivers. Congress can help. Like the WPA did 75 years ago, current legislation before Congress, the Local Jobs for America Act, will put people back to work and help communities restore vital services to our citizens. The Local Jobs for America Act will create 1 million public and private jobs in local communities this year. Some of these jobs will be in local government. Some funds are earmarked specifically for education jobs for police officers and firefighters. Additional funding in the legislation would provide salaries for private sector on-the-job training so that local businesses can put people back to work and workers can gain skills that will help them long-term in the job market. This legislation will help the folks who need it the most. Support will be targeted directly to states and municipalities with the greatest number of people out of work. And the priority for hiring will be given to current unemployment recipients, the long-term unemployed, and workers who have been laid off from public positions. The Local Jobs for America Act will, number one, put people back to work by providing jobs to the folks who need them the most. Secondly, it will help communities keep vital services up and running for their citizens. It means there'll be enough police officers patrolling our neighborhoods and enough school teachers in the classroom. And finally, this legislation would stimulate the local economy. When we put people back to work, they have money to spend at their neighborhood restaurants and businesses. And this, in turn, will spur additional jobs for local small businesses. Bill sponsors are still working out how to fund this legislation. But we would argue that the costs of creating these jobs are offset by the savings and unemployment insurance and other social services that people rely on in periods of long-term unemployment. And we would encourage Congress to look to the institutions that were responsible for creating this economic mess in the first place, the big banks. Hold them responsible and make them pay for job creation programs. The bottom line is we can't afford not to pass this legislation. Our communities are hurting and folks need good jobs, and as Alicia said, they needed them yesterday. We thank Congressman Butterfield, Kissel, and Watt for co-sponsoring this legislation, and we urge Congress to take this issue up as soon as they return from recess. As we've heard this morning, the WPA lives on in our schools, libraries, bridges, and parks that are now much-loved landmarks in our communities. This Congress has a chance to create its own legacy. Pass the Local Jobs for America Act, invest in our workforce, and create the infrastructure our communities will enjoy for generations to come. Thank you.